All right, let's go move on to the next one. Trump politics. We'll have some more politics in the show tomorrow. I promise. We're a mercy at the news here. But here's what we saw over the weekend. Let's put this up there on the screen. The Trump campaign says that it raised more than $50 million at a Saturday fundraiser. This was a huge announcement because it was one both where, according to his campaign aide, he pressed again for Joe Biden to debate him, but it was to debut the bundling organization that they has created behind the scenes. They say, quote, Trump is pushing to close the massive fundraising disadvantage against Biden. Figures released by the two campaigns show that Biden ended March with $192 million on hand, more than twice as much as Donald Trump. Attendees at Saturday's evening's event were asked to donate as much as $814,000. So he was able to make a dent with that $192 million gap, close 25% of it in just a single night. And they say that Trump is actually set to hold another high-dollar fundraiser on Wednesday in Atlanta. During the private remarks, they say Trump reiterated his call for Biden to debate him after refusing to participate in the Republican primary debates. Biden, of course, last month had said that, he said, well, of course he wants to debate me and he won't necessarily commit to it. Apparently, though, he also made some actual comments when it comes to policy that we wanted to make sure we covered. Put it up there, please, on the screen. They say he told them that he will keep their taxes low at the $50 million fundraiser. According to him, they say Trump spoke to the need to win back the White House so that we can turn our country around, focus on key issues, including unleashing energy production, securing our southern border, reducing inflation, extending the Trump tax cuts, eliminating the Biden electric vehicle mandate, protecting Israel, and avoiding global war in a roughly 45-minute speech. But attendees say that when the cameras were off, he certainly said that he would keep taxes low to some of the billionaires. So it would explain, why so many of them are very willing to shell out.
Absolutely.
Frankly, I would say he has more institutional Republican support today than he has at any point in his entire career. Because post-January 6th, post-Trump tax cuts and all that, they were still happy, but there was so much culture war nonsense going on at the time. A lot of them wouldn't openly say it, but this really, to me, shows that he is not only in charge of the Republican Party, obvious for quite a long time, but he's got a lot of the traditional business types, too. Whoever is left in here, they're all in for Trump this time around.
I think Wall Street has gotten very comfy with the idea of another Trump term, not only because, he was good to them in terms of tax cuts, but also because Biden has been his administration has been good and aggressive on antitrust in a way that the business world absolutely hates. And just look at the Wall Street Journal and the out-and-out jihad they have against Lena Khan, however many op-eds that they've written, whatever. And so because there's much more scrutiny of these big merger deals going through, that leads to a lot of Wall Street types who are getting their big bonuses at the end of the year. They hate that. Of course, the CEOs and executive class and the owner class, they hate the fact that they're having to jump through these hoops and undergo scrutiny that they haven't faced in their entire lifetimes with regards to these massive transactions and the way that they're screwing consumers and workers alike. So they don't like those pieces. And I think the original fears with Trump were chaos and uncertainty and what's this going to mean for the business environment. But now that they've seen it once around, and they have these antitrust and pro-labor pieces from the Biden administration that they really hate, suddenly they're, Jamie Dimon and the like even are much more comfy with a Trump second term. So the two things that I found most noteworthy there in the list of issues that were important to him were extending the Trump tax cuts, which, yes, means these, billionaires will keep their breaks, and also protecting Israel, making sure to mention that. And he said some comments that could kind of be interpreted however you want to interpret them. But behind closed doors at this fundraiser, he's making it clear he's going to be lockstep support for Israel, as he was as well in his first term.
I would not count out, though, the impact of these dollars, given the way that national trends are going. And when we compare them, let's go put the next one, please, up on the screen, just to give an example. So if you look at the March fundraising numbers, where Biden was significantly outpacing Trump, the Biden campaign, though, is raising $26 million, for example, quote, in a single night with their star-studded event. And that included Obama and Bill Clinton. This is double that one. Now, let's be real. They might have lined things up to get the headline the Trump campaign did to make sure that they got 50 million? I'm almost certainly. Let's watch and see what comes out of Atlanta, though, because if they're able to put up 20-some million dollars in the same way that the Biden campaign can, and note, there ain't no protesters at Trump campaign events or Trump, big Trump organization rallies, and that demonstrates that the unity of the coalition, a ton of money, and then the popularity that is going in the tide of Trump. One thing, as we always try and do here, is present the other side. Let's put this up there on the screen. Some polls now, what we're beginning to see is that polls are suggesting a shift in the electorate in a way that is very counter to recent history. Joe Biden, quote, is struggling with young voters, but is performing better than most Democrats with older voters. Maybe they see a kinsman there in the White House. But from what we see, the quote-unquote age inversion is, quote, a warning sign of a structural problem in 2024 election polling. One of the reasons that they are showing this is that if you break down things by crosstabs, Biden's strength amongst older voters may actually indicate an undercount, because even if Trump does surge amongst young voters, Latinos, and all those other people, that's great. But let's be real, they don't vote. And I'm talking statistically. Younger voters, minority voters too, very, very unlikely to actually vote in the same numbers as white boomers. The median voter in this country is a 55-year-old white man who is non-college educated. If Biden is able to keep some strength with that person in the electorate, that will actually indicate that the polls right now could actually be overstating Trump support. Just something that we had to throw out there because it is interesting. And I mean, I guess it makes sense. He's an older man. He is like the embodiment of silent gen and boomerism, like in one. He's been around forever. Boomers love the whole, like, we need a man with experience thing in the White House. He like checks all the boxes. So, and they love cable TV. And Biden is mostly beloved by MSNBC and CNN. So if you put those things together, it does actually track to me.
Yeah, I'm a little mystified. Genuinely, about the polls, I don't know what to make of any of them at this point. You know, are they undercounting Biden? Are they undercounting Trump? I have no idea. I'm just throwing my hands up and taking all of it with a grain of salt. I find it hard to believe. They cite a couple of polls here that has Trump actually ahead of Biden among millennial and Gen Z voters. I find that hard to believe. Biden taking a hit among those voters, and obviously younger voters are more open to third-party candidates, okay, but Trump actually beating Biden among those voters, it just, if you look at the ideological profile of them, it really doesn't add up. You know, when you think about their positioning on any number of issues across the board, it's hard for me to see that actually playing out. But it's being found in multiple polls. But then that's the other thing, is then you can find another poll that has it like the complete opposite direction. Biden continuing to have a 20-point lead ahead of Trump with voters under the age of 35. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know what the hell's going on with these polls. I genuinely don't know. I find it very hard to believe Trump is actually winning with young voters. Is he eating into the lead? Is RFK Jr. posing a threat for Biden and causing him problems with these voters? Cornel West, Jill Stein, sure. But I'm skeptical that that this massive like youth wave towards actually affirmatively towards Trump is actually happening.
It depends on the gender balance too. If you told me he was winning amongst young men, I would believe it actually. At the very least at like 50-some%. If you include women in that, I do find it hard to believe. Ideologically, people are, let's be honest, people are all over the map and have very, very divergent opinions whenever it comes to politics. So even just looking at that and mapping it out onto the current candidates is not usually one-to-one. I don't know. I would say if it is true that Biden is doing better amongst older voters, that is a major sign of strength for him. Yeah, and true. One that we should pay very, very close attention to. And that is one that I actually really do believe, just given his politics, given the way that they like to see the country and the things that they value. They're probably a lot less likely than, I mean, this is where the media question comes in. They live in a different universe than the rest of us. They are literally not online unless it's their email or Facebook. That is not the same, the way that we all consume media. And with that, you're gonna see a lot less Biden fumbling. You're gonna see a lot less emphasis on some of the things that we talk about.
And Israel's not gonna be, by and large, not a problem for older voters.
They don't care. They own their own houses, you know, and to the extent that they're in debt or whatever, they're on Social Security. Like, they don't care as much.
That's true, too. For them, the economy is good.
Their economy is good.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those where, because of the parallel universe that they live in, they're not feeling the same pressures that we are. And then you add media on top of that, I could believe it. Why he's doing better with older folks.
Very interesting.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.